Hello, everyone. I'm Christoph Laputka, and this is Leviathan Presents. It's a segment where we highlight one audio fiction creator, have a conversation, and then play a full episode of their show right here in our feed. I hope you'll enjoy today's guest, and without further ado, let's get into the interview. This is Leviathan Presents. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Leviathan Presents. This is Christoph, and I wanted to give you an update on the Invenios Expeditions, which is going to be the next Leviathan spin-off show that we are deep in production on. Robin and I and Luke and the whole team and cast, we're here in Los Angeles, and we are finishing our last stages of principal recording, and I have to tell you, it has been such a great experience. We've met so many great voice actors and have been working with such amazing talent, and we're just really excited to bring the show to you. So we think we're in the final stretches, and we expect to have this out to you later this year, but we're really excited about where the show is heading and how it kind of sets up a lot of the future Leviathan shows that we're helping to bring to you. There is going to be another Leviathan saga, and these spin-offs are setting up the chess pieces and putting all the characters in place to help advance that story further. So we're working pretty hard at it right now, and I've listened to a good number of the episodes. This is going to be one of our largest seasons yet. We're going to be looking at about 13 to 14 episodes, so it is taking a little bit long. This has been the biggest cast that we've had, but it's come together great, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Thank you all for being subscribers, thank you all for being fans, and thank you all for staying with us for so long. And for now, I'm really excited to bring to you Desert Skies. This has been a really fun show that I've enjoyed listening to. I think you guys are going to really like it as well. And what I liked about the show was that I originally thought it was going in one direction and was one kind of a show, and it really turned into something else, and it really surprised me. Without any further ado, let's get into the interview. Hey everyone, it's Christoph, and today I'm joined by Jared Carter, the creator of Desert Skies, which is a really captivating new audio drama about the in-between stages between life and the afterlife, set in a gas station located on the astral plane of existence. And we meet a lot of characters that have led different lives, and at first the show seems to be about these character studies of love and loss and lives led on Earth, but slowly a deeper subplot reveals itself, and Jared does this so artfully, and the scope of the show continues to widen. It's a really great show, and I'm so excited to talk to you about it. So without any further ado, Jared, welcome to Leviathan Presents.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I am now, you've made my day. Thank you for all your kind words. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, I started by calling you the creator of Desert Skies, but that's really selling you short. You're a whole lot more than that. You're the producer, and you're also the star of the show. This is a big point that I want to hit up front with my listeners, that you voice all of the characters in the show. And there's a lot of characters. This isn't a subtle, a three-person play. It's a wide cast. And you do all of the voices.
Yeah.
That's incredible. They don't sound like they're coming from the same person. And I want to talk about that and how you're able to achieve that a little bit more. But why don't you start by telling all of our listeners a little bit about Desert Skies and what it's all about?
Yeah. So as you mentioned earlier, Desert Skies is really a look at the afterlife. And so much of it is built around friendships. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this show was just kind of create an environment where people could escape to. I feel like one of the things that we don't do great as people is friendships, and it's because there's a lot to work through and a lot to deal with, and so it's a lot of external processing around those types of relationships, and a lot of just like dealing with loss. For me, it's purely a therapeutic process where I just work through things that I don't even realize I'm working through until my wife listens and she goes, "Oh, is this like a autobiography?" And I'm like, I didn't intend for it to be, but it is.
Well, it's funny you mention that because you grew up in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
in the desert, and the desert setting is a very big part of the show. The gas station is on the desert sphere of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what the desert means to you and how it's influenced the show.
Yeah. If you grow up in the rural parts of Arizona, like I have, you have a lot of experience with the desert. And the desert is a really fascinating and magical place. It's funny, from here, we all like to escape to those places that are more green and a little cooler, because the place that we live in is not extremely comfortable. it's trying, I referenced this at one point in the show, but it's like it's trying to kill you all the time. You can't really go for a walk in the desert. You're dealing with rattlesnakes, scorpions, all these thorns. And I think there's a part of that leads to being like this, especially magical, but also dangerous place. And there was something about that image of the gas station in the desert that really spoke to me for a long time. Like, I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I have, there we go. Down there on like the second shelf, there's this paper cutout that I made of a gas station in the desert. I made that 6 years ago at this point. So the idea has always kind of lived in my head. I've seen places like that in Arizona. We lived right next to a gas station at one point that was in the middle of nowhere. And something about driving by that at night and seeing the darkness that surrounds the gas station, but there's this safe haven within the gas station, lights just pouring out of it. And you wonder, and I always wondered, what kind of people would you meet there at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, those travelers that are so unique? And a lot of that was based off my experience working at a hotel in Casa Grande, Arizona. And at that hotel at night, I would work overnight and you would go outside and it was surrounded by nothing but desert. And I did meet a lot of really weird people working overnight. And that, I think all of those things kind of fed into the creation of the show and the setting that it's in.
Well, there's a beautiful allegory that you create of, the people that have passed on. They're travelers, and they show up in the Buick. And this idea that, we're all travelers through earth, travelers through life, travelers through different places of existence. And that really struck me as a beautiful frame to view life through. Now, one of the things that, again, we touched on before is you voice all of the characters in the show. And then there's some really fun, different personalities, the tight family and friendships that are in the gas station, and then also the friendships and connections that the travelers coming through bring into the story. How, first of all, just mechanically, how do you create all these different voices? Are there tools that you're using, or is it all just coming out naturally? And when you come up with a character, how do you come up with the accents and the different vocalizations?
Yes. So I grew up like so many class clowns and kids on the fringe who just loved to do voices and do impressions. There was something that was very, it's really fun. And I realized when I was young that I had a pretty decent vocal range. And I loved just mimicking everyone. One of the things that I would do a lot once I started driving was put in CDs and try to match my voice so perfectly to the artist that I couldn't hear myself anymore. And so that's just something that I did for years. And so I got really good at mimicking. And then I started to really pick up on, over time, just people's unique cadences and how much, you can have two characters that sound very similar, but if they have a different cadence and even maybe like a slightly different pitch to the listener, it's very difficult to see the similarities in those. When it comes to actually creating the characters for the show and their voices, generally I'll write the story first. And as I'm writing the story, I kind of start to hear the person, start to hear the character in my head. And it's after that that I try to mimic whatever that sound might be. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it's that I'm just driving, I must look crazy. Hopefully people think I'm on Bluetooth or something. Because when I drive across town, I'm just in there going, trying to find okay. And then sometimes I land on something and I have to build a character around that voice. And I did that with a mini series that we just did. I was driving around and I kind of got this voice that was a little bit like what was the movie Inside Out? You had sadness, a little just kind of sad and whatever. And I made this character out of that. And I was like, I'm going to build a character. I'm going to build a show, essentially a mini series around this character. And I did. It was awesome.
It's really fun. It's a great format for the show. Every episode has a new traveler coming in, a new personality. It walks this balance really well of having it has a format, it has a premise, and there's always a new guest star kind of coming in, kind of like the way Fantasy Island and The Love Boat did, many, many years ago. But at the same time, you just so subtly create this undercurrent of a connective plot that the aperture keeps widening towards this underlying mythology that you've created.
I've always been drawn to stories about death there's just something about death as a plot device that allows people to, it gives you kind of like that perfect hindsight. You're able to look back, and that's when I feel like with these characters, they're really able to start processing their lives because they're looking at it in kind of a rear view mirror and taking in the whole scope of it. And that's where they really have to start to come to terms with things. And I love ghost stories. I love that idea of like something happening after this. One of my favorite books, Lincoln in the Bardo, focuses on Abraham Lincoln's son and him in like a cemetery right after he died. And that to me is just such a wonderful type of story. So I went digging into just different aspects of kind of like ancient thought around this idea of an astral plane, this place in between here and like the furthermost sphere of existence, which in ours is the 33rd sphere. Almost every religion is so interesting, like has some version of this. And there's a lot of variations in terms of what are the numbers of spheres and different things. And I just kind of grabbed one. And I think part of it was I picked the lowest number. I can't remember which religion in particular was like 33. And I'm like, I'm doing that one because I'm not building 120 of these things. And then within those concepts, there were deities, something like demons, in some religions that acted as sphere movers. And I really just loved that idea of pulling from malevolent, benevolent characters, went into a lot of like ancient history, looking for personalities and different things, traits that I could build these characters out of.
Well, you do it. You do it really well. And one of the other things that I thought was what really made Desert Skies so special was it has this, every audio drama, and I'm passionate about audio drama, has its own fingerprint, its own soundscape that sets it apart or makes it unique and is an expression of, the creator's vision. And you have this wonderful kind of 80s, 90s retro throwback. And for our listeners, definitely go to Desert Sky's website. We're going to give you the link at the end of the show, but it's you've done such a good job of duplicating the awkwardness of a MySpace page so fantastically. And where did this 80s and 90s theme come from? How did you decide like this is going to be the fingerprint I want to put in? I'm dying to hear about that.
I was a child somewhat of the 80s. I was born in 84, so I tell people, I'm an 80s kid, and I'm not really, because I was 6 when the 90s rolled around. But I've always been obsessed with the 80s. When I look back at cinema, especially horror in particular, there's something about the campiness of it. And I wanted there to be like an aspect of campiness, which was just silly, but also really held on to that, what for me is like this nostalgic vibe. I find it interesting, like when I look at certain analytics, I'll find that the largest demographic is people in my age group. I think there is something about that feel for them as well. And yeah, when I built the website, I was like, I have to get as close.
How did you do that? How did you create that? Like, it's hard to make something look that retro.
There is a plugin. I found this plugin that had like snowflakes falling across it. It was very strange. And I just kind of took it and I modified it. And I love it. It just brings me back to when we first got Windows 95 and AOL. And that's what all the websites look like. It was the closest to the 80s that I could get.
I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the characters in the show.
Yeah.
The core and the gas station is this main trio of the attendant, the mechanic, and the cash register. Tell us a little bit about each of those characters. What should our listeners know going into listening to the first episode of Desert Skies?
So the attendant, which pretty much just sounds like me, but he's a little higher, a little more nasally. He is basically the boss of the gas station. I imagine he's, I don't even have definitive answers around this, but it's like maybe he's 26, 27. years old, but he's really taken on, like, shouldered this responsibility of this role and takes it very seriously. His job is to see people to the next life and make sure that nothing goes wrong in that process. So there's a lot of, like, stress and a lot of responsibility around that. One of the things that's interesting about the attendant and the mechanic is they don't remember their lives on the physical planes. And so a lot of that really plays out in the attendant because he just wants to know. I think more than any other character, he's like desperate to know. And then you have the mechanic who is far less serious. This probably was born out of, like, growing up watching the Andy Griffith Show a lot. Like, I've seen every episode multiple times. That was a family thing that I inherited. And one of the great aspects of the show is, like, you got the sheriff, Andy, who is very straight laced, a little bit of humor, but for the most part, he takes his job fairly seriously. And then you have Barney, the deputy, and he's just lovable, makes jokes, whatever. And you kind of see that played out in the character. I'm just realizing it now. I think I just made the Andy Griffith Show, but in the astral plane. And there's so many shows that play out like that and so many characters like that. And I wanted that in the show because it's so many heavy topics that we really needed someone who is a lot of comic relief. And so that's the mechanic. And he's really based off of, somebody told me, they're like, that's Sling Blade. That's like, I can't remember the character's name. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not trying to steal voices, but yeah, he's really funny, but over time you find out, like, he is a very deep character. There's a lot hidden behind the comedy. And then he is just such a lovable guy, and he seems to delight in everything, which makes him, for me, a character that I kind of aspire to be in real life, which is someone who can just, like, see the good in everything and see the good in everybody and, still a little feisty. And then you have C.A.S.H, who is the cash register at the station. And she is my favorite character, I think, in the entire show, and probably the one that I most identify with because she's a bit of an anxious mess in a lot of ways. A lot of season 1, kind of, I think, surprisingly for people, starts to really look at C.A.S.H as a character rather than just like this means to an end. And that's going to be explored more in future seasons for sure.
And you kind of touched on the levity. You do this beautiful tightrope walk where you keep it light, but yet there is a weight to these characters' experiences. Mm-hmm. And one of the mechanisms used, I think it was in chapter 3, was it the sitcom? Yeah. The sitcom mode that they went into? You plugged your characters into this formula really well. Like, were you a big sitcom guy at the time, or?
I knew that I wanted this story to grow beyond what it was. And I felt like after I'd made the second episode, a lot of similarity to episode 1. And I'm very impulsive. So there's not a lot of forethought that goes into the show apart from I know what the endings look like for each season and for the series. But I want to make sure that I am not boring people by ensuring that the next time they listen, it's going to follow like a very similar format, Traveler Arrives, whatever. So by episode 3, I wanted to make it very clear that that's not what the show is entirely. And I just started thinking, and I do this every once in a while, what's the craziest thing that I could do? What's going to really throw people and like gather their attention? And then the other thing that I really try to do in the show, which is a little manipulative, but it's something that I do for myself, which is I used to write stories to music. I would listen to music and I would put on this like visual play in my head. And I did that for years when I was a teenager. And I tried to produce an emotion. I really wanted to feel the shivers that go down your spine when a story just kind of like comes together. And what I tried to do with the show is almost a bait and switch where I want them to ride the emotional high from comedy and from joy. But I also, when it gets to the sad parts, I want them to feel that deeply. And I think one of the best ways that you can create that emotion is to lean into that juxtaposition of comedy riding alongside sadness, and the alternating between the two, at least in me, produces like a visceral emotional response. And that's where a lot of like the comedy and everything plays into the show. It's emotional manipulation, but on a scale that I love personally.
But it's actually quite subtle and gentle. Like every single episode has a surprise in it and it goes into an unexpected direction, which I like, but it's not like a jump scare or something hard. You do a very good job of like unfolding the cards gradually, but definitively. The place you end up isn't the place you ever envisioned when you started. Now, the production, you're doing all the voices. I know you're the producer in addition to being the writer. Do you have anybody else helping you with it? How long does it take you to make an episode? Because I know doing it by yourself is a Herculean task.
I timed myself. This is really sad. I timed myself and it took me 15 hours to make a 26-minute episode from the time that I started writing. And this took place over the course of like 3 or 4 days because my time is split up between this and other pursuits. Over the course of 3 days, total was 15 hours. That was really eye-opening for me. And it helped me to realize that most of my time is not spent in production. It's spent in stressing out about the next episode. Part of my process is I'll write conflict or put a character in a situation that it's difficult for them to get out of, so that I have to really think through how am I going to do that. So that's where a lot of the surprises come from, is like, oh my gosh, we're here. What could possibly happen next? And I'm thinking the exact same thing. I don't know. I just know I need to get to the end of the season. So I'll toss in these difficult things. I'll work my way through them. Once I'm able to work my way through it, which usually takes anywhere from like 2 weeks to a month of just sitting in the outside, sipping bourbon, looking at the saguaro in my neighbor's yard and just waiting for like the answer to come. Once that comes and I'm not scared to put something out there, I'll sit down and I'll just knock out the story. And then I'll work a little bit on the voices, making sure that I know who they are, what they would sound like. And then I just go in and I bust out the recordings probably in about an hour. This is one of the benefits for me, is I'm terrible at coordinating. I'm terrible at organization, and things really have to happen when I'm in the right mood. So we're not working with people works out really, really well for me. I'm fully dependent on myself. And if it wasn't for like the anxiety that comes with putting yourself out there, I could be making an episode a week.
By the way, I think you're killing it. That is very quick. That shows you know your way around audio editing to get it done that quickly. I'm very impressed. I'm jealous.
Yeah,
Jealous, in fact, I would say. Now,
yeah, I don't know what buttons I'm pushing, and I have no idea. And this is absolutely true. I have no idea what most of the words mean in the editing software. I just know that they make a certain sound and I go for it.
Now, what episode of Desert Skies are we going to be listening to today? Tell us a little bit about it.
So episode 1 of Desert Skies focuses on a character. His name is Lawrence Cobb, and he's, a stereotypical like New Yorker accent, which a friend made fun of me for because he's from New York, and he's like, "Good job sounding like every New Yorker in a movie that you've ever heard." That's okay. And so the story really focuses autobiographically in terms of like my relationship with my wife. It focuses a lot on this character and losing his wife, and it's I think a really sweet episode. I think it's a good introduction to the show because it is so weird, and I made sure to do that intentionally in the first episode so people knew what they were in for the rest of it.
It's a surprising premise. I'll say it's a little kooky, but wonderfully executed in that there's so much that you get out of this premise of the metaphoric gas station, the last set of lights before going off into the dark desert. And this is, as you said, an oasis for the soul.
A lot of people fall asleep to it. A lot of people fall asleep to it, which I was offended by at first, but now I'm like, no, that's awesome. That's wonderful.
Well, tell everyone about where they can listen to Desert Skies, what you're planning with future seasons, and how they can support you.
Yeah. So Desert Skies is on all major podcast platforms and some fringe ones as well. There's another show, a secondary show, like a sister program called Desert Skies FM. Some people confuse the two and they start listening to FM and it doesn't make any sense. I'd say start with just Desert Skies. You can learn more at desertskiespodcast.com. We have a Discord you can join us on, which is a great place to like learn more about the show. It's like we call it the most wholesome place on the internet. So it's a great place to join. And then if you want to support us, we have a membership program called Club 86, which is out of Patreon. So it's patreon.com/Desert Skies. And they can subscribe and get a lot of extra cool stuff.
And we'll have all those show notes included down below. So let's jump into the episode. This is episode 1 of Desert Skies. Jared Carter, Thank you so much for being here on Leviathan Presents. It's great to have you.
Absolute honor. Thank you so much.
See you on the other side, guys.
See ya. For the best listening experience, headphones are recommended. Hello there. If you don't mind waiting just a moment while we get ready, we're actually trying something new. We're formalizing our process. So this is an exciting time to be here. I've actually written something up, so I think I'm pretty proud of it. It's cool.
Where am I?
Please hold all of your questions until the presentation is complete. Everything will be answered in time. Okay, I think I'm ready. You may approach the counter. Welcome to Desert Skies, traveler. Your journey through the physical plane has come to an end. But we are so glad you're here. And I know what you're thinking. Where is here exactly? I'll do my best to explain. Desert Skies Astral Plane Fuel and Service Station exists on the lowest sphere of existence between life and death. Or as we like to say around here, between life and the next life.
Yeah.
You have no more reason to be afraid. No more reason to fret, nor worry. Whatever your needs, we are here to help. My colleague here is the mechanic, or Mac for short.
Yo.
It is his job to service your vehicle in preparation for the journey across the celestial spheres. I am the attendant.
Or Tendy, for short.
I told you not to call me that in front of the travelers.
Well, I think it puts them at ease.
I'm trying to create an air of mystique.
Yeah, well, that's stupid.
Yeah, well, nobody asked you.
What's going on?
Like I said, I am the attendant. It is my job to ensure you have adequate provisions and are well instructed in navigating the journey through the celestial spheres. Now, let me tell you about a selection of products available and any associated promotions. 1 second here. We have all of your road trip favorites. Chips, sodas, sunflower seeds, pickled pig's feet that induce devastating degrees of sadness. It's a trip. That's Mac's favorite, actually.
It's just nice to feel something.
Before hitting the road, how about one last trip south of the border? We have an impressive selection of over 34 varieties of microwavable burritos. Everything from breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, dessert, and various other flavors. Right now, if you grab 3, you'll receive a portable microwave to take with you on your journey. It has a little cigarette lighter adapter.
Hell of a deal if you ask me.
Are you dealing with the regret of never having accomplished anything significant in your life? Punish yourself appropriately with some flamin' hot Cheetos.
Enough! Turn off the music.
What's wrong? Was I reading too fast? That's fine. I can start over. Where's the rewind?
No, don't do it again. Look, I need some answers.
5 minutes ago, I'm sitting at home eating a plate of toaster waffles. Next thing I know, I'm driving down a deserted highway, then pulling into a gas station in the middle of God knows where, and you start reading off some brain-melting specials of the day with Gimli here. I just want to know what's really going on. Give it to me straight. Am I high right now?
Possibly, but that's irrelevant. You're here because you're dead. This is your last stop on your way to the great beyond. It's our job to make sure you're prepared for the ride.
Uh-huh. And what if I don't believe you? What if this is all just some kind of sick dream, huh? Some elaborate prank?
Look, I understand this experience can be jarring, especially if your death was sudden or unexpected. I can't remember, but I probably went through the same emotions you're experiencing right now.
For the sake of argument, let's say you're telling me the truth. What's to keep me from driving back the direction I came from, huh? Hightailing it back to my living room. No pun intended.
There's nothing keeping you from that. I mean, we can't stop you, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, and why's that? Microwavable burritos. What? What is that supposed to mean?
I'll show you. Come on, follow me. Our microwavable burrito selection. Currently, there are 34 varieties. If you drive back the way you came, there's gonna be 35. Here, take a look at this package. What do you see?
Says Gutbuster brand microwavable burritos. And there's a face. Lady with red hair. Alice's chicken a la king style.
Read the back.
Okay. This delicious microwavable snack is dedicated to Alice McDougal, who attempted to return to the physical realm and retrieve her beloved cat Wallace. We honor her brave effort. What the hell is this?
Just keep reading.
In accordance with the governing rules of the astral plane, the full essence of this individual's existence, desires, purpose, and romantic history has been meticulously crafted into this artisan-style burrito. Taste the flavor of life. So there's ground-up lady in here?
No. God, no. That's disgusting. This isn't her physically. It's the flavor and texture of her existence, which apparently tastes like diced chicken in a cream sauce. It's actually pretty good.
Congratulations, friend. I've heard some crazy shit in my life, but I've never heard anything like that. But you know, I bet I'd be chicken. Some kind of chicken burrito.
Why do you say that?
Saw it on one of those placemats at a Chinese restaurant. I was born in the year of the chicken.
I think you mean rooster.
Really? I always thought it was chicken. I think I'd rather be a chicken than a cock, you know? Oh, God. I need a cigarette. You got those? Huh? A brand that doesn't taste like devastating sadness or contain the essence of someone's great-grandma?
Here, have one of mine.
Thank God. Something I can actually use. I know these things are awful for you.
I'm not sure you gotta worry about that anymore. Come on, buddy. Let's take a look at that car of yours.
That's the other thing. I don't even own a car. Then boom, I'm suddenly cruising down the highway in a Buick Skylark.
That's one hell of a car.
Sure, I'm not complaining. But that's not my automobile.
And this isn't my beard's natural color. Yet here we are. Come on. Let's get you road ready.
Hey, Nintendo. Or whatever your name is. You really telling me I'm dead?
It's Attendant. And yeah, you are. Sorry, friend.
Well, ain't that just a kick in the pants? One more question. This place, at the end of the road, what's it like? Is it nice?
Yeah, it's real nice.
Huh. That's good to know, I guess.
Look, come back and see me before taking off, okay?
Whatever you want, Lord of the Underworld.
Hey, cash register.
Hello, attendant. How can I be of service?
I always tell people that what lies at the end of the road is a nice place.
You excel at putting our travelers at ease, attendant.
Yeah, sure, but what if it's a lie? I don't know if it's nice or not. For all I know, it could be a plane of non-existence.
I would assume that even a state of non-existence is better than having your essence converted into a microwavable burrito.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. A lot of people like burritos.
Attendant, as you know, I'm incapable of lying,
So you've told me.
but you're not. I can't say for certain, but I believe that if given the ability to provide comfort to frightened travelers, able to travel but one direction, I would allow myself to express confidence that they are headed towards a nice place, regardless of my uncertainty.
You really think that's okay?
Attendant, I am just a computational assistance and service help register, but logic leads me to believe that the existence of Desert Skies, an astral plane fuel and service center dedicated to the comfort and safety of travelers embarking on their final journey. Well, it seems to me that level of intentional care would denote a certain amount of goodwill on the part of our superiors.
Our superiors. I don't even know who they are. Do you, Cash?
I'm sorry, attendant, but as I've told you 473 times, I'm unable to speak to that subject.
Unable or not allowed?
Is there anything else I can assist you with, attendant?
Play some music?
You got it. Mood?
Let's do contemplative.
Well, he's all set.
Where's he at?
Dude's just sitting in his car with his head resting on the steering wheel. I'd ask what gives, but it ain't like I never seen it before.
I told him to come back in here.
What's his story, anyway?
Jeez, I haven't even ran the report. Cash register.
How can I help you, attendant?
Request the traveler bio for... Oh god, I didn't even ask his name.
I got that from him at least. Name's Lawrence Cobb.
Requesting traveler biography for Lawrence Cobb.
Alright, let's take a look here. Lawrence Cobb. Age, 42. Looks like it was the toaster waffles that did him in. Choked to death watching television.
When I die, that's how I want to go.
Yeah, well, you are dead, so there's that. And what? You want to die choking on frozen breakfast foods watching TV?
You're judgy, you know that?
Anyway, born and raised in New York, managed the electronics counter at a department store.
Fascinating stuff, but you know what I want.
Yeah, I know. There you go, you sick little man.
Embarrassing childhood memories, God, I love these. Look, in 4th grade, choked on an ice cube at lunch and threw up all over the table. How do you even do that?
Says his wife died. Her name sounds so familiar. Deborah Cobb. Deborah Cobb. Cash, do you have a record of a Deborah Cobb who was married to a Lawrence Cobb?
Indeed. Deborah Cobb. Age 36. Sudden death. Brain aneurysm.
Jesus, that's so young.
We have so many people come through here, Tendy. What makes you think you'd remember some random woman? We must have had 20,000 Deborahs at Desert Skies in my time and at least a handful of Deborah Cobbs.
I don't know. Some people just stick with you, Mac.
Yeah, I guess that's true. There was that one guy who crapped his pants dancing to "You're the One That I Want" during a school play. I still got the report pinned up in my shack. You can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. I think I'm gonna check on our traveler. Mr. Cobb?
Go away, Nintendo.
I just want to talk, real quick. Give me 30 seconds. Please, Mr. Cobb.
Stop calling me Mr. Cobb. My name is Lawrence.
Hey, Lawrence, buddy. You've been out here a while, and we're getting kind of worried about you.
Worried about me? What's there to worry about? I'm already dead.
Dead is such a weighty word. You left the physical plane, so what? It's just one plane of existence. This is another. And down that road is another. And that's your destination. That's the next life.
Yeah, well, if it's so great, why haven't you driven down that road, huh? If it's so wonderful, what are you doing out here in the plane of God knows what, hawking burritos with people in them?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're dead too, right? You must have pulled in here just like me. But you stayed.
You're right. I mean, I assume that's what happened, but I don't remember a time when I wasn't working here. When I wasn't the attendant. I don't remember my life on the physical plane or my real name. I have no idea who I am or even how I died.
Jesus, that's messed up, guy. So what's to keep you from going now? Get in the car. Come on, we'll go together. I know I'd feel better if someone was with me, you know?
I'm sorry, Lawrence, I can't.
Why not?
Because I like what I do. It may not seem like much to you, but to me, it's everything. It's all I've ever known. Do you know how many Lawrence Cobbs I've had come through here? People like you who get behind that wheel and can't seem to turn the key? And 99.9% of the time, I get them down that road. I save them from the burrito plane of existence. I help them move on.
It might not be so bad being a burrito, you know? A lot of people like burritos.
This is true.
You know, I had a wife who died 3 years ago. I couldn't do anything without her. Ever since she's been gone, my life's just been one pointless day after another. She might be up there too, huh? Down that road? How could I not realize that? Tell me, did a Deborah Cobb ever come through this place?
She did.
Well, okay. I'm gonna get to see her again.
Come inside, Lawrence. Let's get you what you need.
Hey, you got any of those corn chips shaped like a dunce cap?
Indeed we do.
And you didn't do nothing weird to it?
No need. Those things are weird enough on their own. So go ahead and take a look around the store, Lawrence, and meet me at the counter when you're done.
Thanks, but I can't buy none of this stuff. I don't even have my wallet.
Then how in the hell are you planning to pay for all that astral-grade fuel I just pumped into your Buick? We don't take kindly to thieves around here.
Hey now, wait just a minute. You didn't say nothing about no payment. I mean, what would you guys even do with money?
Nothing at all. Mac is just being an asshat.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you, buddy. Nobody's got money this side of the physical realm. You know what they say, you can't take it with you
when you go, yeah.
Like I said, just grab whatever you like, and I'll be waiting for you right here. Oh, and don't forget to grab a map. They're on that rack over there by the burrito freezer. There's only one main road that you'll need to stay on, but there's some interesting sights along the way you might want to check out. Oh, also, it gets cold once you get past the Martian sphere, so it would help to grab
No.
What's wrong?
My Debbie.
What about her? I told you. She's been through here, Lawrence.
She didn't go down that road. She tried to go back.
What are you talking about?
Come see for yourself.
See what?
That's her face. Right there. Debbie's waffle stuffed burrito.
Let me see. It says this delicious microwavable snack is dedicated to Deborah Cobb, who attempted to return to the physical plane for her dear husband, Lawrence. We honor the sacrifice she made in the name of love. Damn it. I knew I remembered that name.
My wife. The only reason I ever had for living is a burrito.
Well, a lot of people like burrito. Okay, I should shut up.
No, you're right. A lot of people like burritos. But I love this one. And she's gone. For a second there, I thought there really was a chance we could be together again.
I'm so sorry, Lawrence.
Que sera, sera. Could I have a moment alone, fellas?
Of course. Mac?
Coming.
Poor guy. I can't imagine what he's feeling. The thoughts that have to be going through his head right now.
And to think that if his wife could have just waited, they'd be together now.
I wonder what it feels like, Mac. To miss the physical plane. The people you left behind. I remember things about the physical plane. Real general things. Telephones, TVs, wars, placemats at Chinese restaurants. But I don't remember me. The only me I remember is the me at Desert Skies. I've asked Cash to request a bio so many times I've lost count. And every time she says the same thing. I'm unable to submit bio request for current staff. I know I've asked you before, Mac, but you don't remember anything else about me when I got here?
Just the same stuff I told you before, Tendy. You showed up, got out of the car, walked past me like I wasn't even there, dead silent. You went inside. I started prepping your vehicle for the journey, and when I went to tell you it was ready, you were already standing behind the counter. The old attendant had slipped out the back and took the car meant for you. I guess he was finally ready to hit the road. Funny thing is, I never got...
Mac, come here. Look at this.
What's he doing?
He's chewing.
What's that in his hand?
That, my friend, is Deborah Cobb. The full essence of her existence, desires, purpose, and romantic history meticulously crafted into an artisan-style burrito.
Well, I'll be damned. I've never seen a man sob and eat a burrito at the same time.
I have.
You said you'd never mention that again.
Hey, fellas.
Hey, Lawrence, you all right?
Yeah, you know what? I am. I think I'm ready to go.
But you don't have anything.
Don't need anything.
You don't have to, but you sure you don't want to grab some snacks for the road? At least let me grab you a map.
No need. I ain't stopping.
Well, okay then. Sounds like you're ready.
As I'll ever be. Thanks, fellas. For everything.
And that was the last time that we ever saw Lawrence Cobb. As his taillights faded into the distance, we were reminded of the power of love and its ability to cause wandering souls to find resolve. Perhaps each one of us...
Give it a rest, Mac. Look. He's turning around.
Maybe he's coming back for something.
I don't think so. He's not slowing down. And there he goes.
Nothing you could have done, Tendy.
I really thought he was gonna make it.
Who's to say he didn't? Seems to me like he made it exactly where he wanted to go.
The freezer aisle.
Come on, Tendy. We got a 35th variety now. Let's see what it is. We're gonna need a bigger freezer.
You go ahead. I'm gonna submit my traveler report. Hey, C.A.S.H.
Hello, Attendant.
I'd like to submit my traveler report for Lawrence Cobb.
I am ready to capture your report.
Another traveler has come and gone. Lawrence Cobb never departed for his trip across the celestial spheres. It seems that he found a reason to head the other direction. It's different this time, though. He wasn't trying to return to the physical plane, at least as far as I can tell. He knew what the outcome of driving that direction would be, and that seemed to be his intention. To follow the path that his dearly departed Deborah had taken just 3 years before. I hope he found what he was looking for. That's the end of my report, C.A.S.H.
Pensive and succinct, Attendant. Will you be needing anything else?
Yeah. It's probably time we requested a second freezer. 34 varieties of microwavable burritos is just about all we have room for.
Looks like you're not up to 35 varieties just yet, bud.
What do you mean?
Here you go. Look for yourself.
Lawrence and Debbie's chicken and waffle stuffed burrito?
Uh-huh. And read the back.
This delicious microwavable snack is dedicated to Lawrence and Deborah Cobb, whose love for one another transcends the boundaries of the known planes. May their essences enjoy an eternity of artisanal bliss together. Taste the flavor of love. Another traveler. Looks like it's time to get back to work.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening. All the links to the show you've just heard are in the show notes below. Definitely check them out and subscribe to their feeds if you like what you heard today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leviathan Presents, and maybe you've discovered a new show that you'd like to binge. We're looking forward to bringing you some more amazing audio dramas to discover and letting you meet some of the phenomenally talented creators that are driving this renaissance in audio fiction today. Stay subscribed to this feed for more installments of Leviathan Presents, as well as all the full episodes of the Leviathan Chronicles, the Rapscallion Agency, the Invenios Expedition, and all the other spin-offs we have planned. This is Christoph, signing off for now. Thanks again for listening. I'll be talking to you all real soon. Bye now.